Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers Studio Series KSI Sentry from Transformers Age of Extinction. As always, we'll take a brief look at the packaging and then we'll take a closer look at KSI Sentry himself. Turning very quickly to the packaging, as you can see, you have a nice CGI render of KSI Sentry there. Studio Series KSI Sentry, Transformers Age of Extinction. The side of the packaging has a larger image of KSI Sentry looking really cool and very reminiscent of Stinger. The back of the packaging showcases the figure in both the robot mode, the vehicle mode, as well as the other figures that come in the assortment. He also has a brief bio. Hijacked by the Decepticons, the KSI Sentry combat drones flood the city in pursuit of the seed. Turning the packaging around once more, we have a close-up image of KSI Sentry, as well as Studio Series, and that he is a deluxe class figure. As with all of these Studio Series figures, KSI Sentry does in fact include a backdrop. This time it's from the Hong Kong battle. This is the exact same backdrop that we've seen with the Leader class Grimlock as well as Deluxe class Stinger from the first wave. Of course, you can insert the figure into the backdrop for a more dynamic display option. And here we have KSI Sentry in his robot mode. Now this is a straight up repaint and slight retool of the Deluxe class Stinger that we got in the first wave of the Studio Series. I will be doing a direct comparison with these figures later, but first of all we'll take a look at this figure. Some of the differences are that he does in fact include a brand new head sculpt. It's very reminiscent of what the KSI drones had in Age of Extinction, as well as this additional weapon. It's almost like a bayonet weapon that attaches onto what Stinger's cannon was. They are the only new parts. Leftover pieces from Stinger which are rendered useless on this figure is this entire section here. This has no purpose for KSI Sentry whatsoever, unless you want to take the little shurikens that Stinger come with and plug them onto this figure, but that's not accurate to how KSI Sentry looks. Now, although this figure is not 100% accurate, it is more or less what we saw in Age of Extinction. All the KSI drones essentially had the same look in their robot modes, and this head sculpt is definitely what we see on all of the KSI drones from that movie. I don't believe, to my knowledge, that there was a blue Pagani in the movie. However, I could be wrong, as there was many supercars in that film, so there could very well have been a blue Pagani. As always, we'll take a look at the details. As you can see, the brand new head sculpt looks fantastic. It's extremely faithful to what we saw KSI drones have in the movie. It's been picked out with a mix of gunmetal silvers and black paint. As you can see, he does have a translucent visor, which I would have preferred it if they would have made it a translucent green. That would have been more accurate to the movie. However, in this instance, it's more of a transparent clear plastic, but nonetheless, it's a really nice sculpt. Moving down to the torso section, as you can see, he's got this almost metallic blue like plastic, which looks really good, as well as some silver paint applications breaking up this plastic. And even on the upper arms, the detail really looks good. As you can see, you've got all the pistons and the cogs picked out in a silver paint application, a lot more defined than that of the Studio Series Stinger. Moving down to the torso section, as well as the legs, they do tend to get quite boring. As you can see, it is just a mix of black and blue plastic, as well as some blue paint applications applied for the shin areas. Turning KSI Sentry around, as you can see, as I stated earlier, he does still have that rack on his back that is supposed to hold the shurikens. However, seeing as this figure doesn't have them, it is exceptionally useless. I wish Hasbro would have just completely removed it, as that does actually hinder the freely rolling wheels in his vehicle mode, so I would have much preferred it if Hasbro would have left it out. Turning to articulation, it is identical to that of Stinger. You do have the ball jointed head, which allows him to look side to side as well as down and upwards. He can also rotate from side to side at a great motion. The arms are on ball joints, so you can hinge them outwards as well as back and forth like this, as well as forwards and backwards. They're on really stiff joints, which is really nice. The joints on this figure definitely feel a lot tighter than that of my Stingers. Here you've got a rotation just above the elbow and ratcheted elbows, which was something that my figure of Stinger was lacking, so they've definitely done some refining on the sculpt. There is no torso articulation, however the legs are on ball joints, so they can kick forwards as well as backwards that far. They can rotate ever so slightly, as there is a hinge joint in there as well. And due to transformation, KSI Sentry can bend his knee at 90 degrees. Unfortunately, there is no foot articulation, so overall for articulation on a KSI Sentry drone, it's definitely all the articulation you could wish for. Turning to accessories, KSI Sentry does come with this bayonet weapon. This is the only additional accessory that KSI Sentry comes with, as opposed to Stinger. As you can see, it is a double-bladed weapon. It does actually attach onto the cannon, which I will showcase in a bit. There's not much detail on it. As you can see, there's just a few ridges here and there, and it is a black molded plastic. It is a rather rubbery plastic as well, and can be inserted into the figure's hand via this pull. In order to integrate it into the cannon, you simply want to flip the cannon open, and there is a small tab on the inside of this bayonet weapon that will plug into a tab in the cannon. Just simply plug that in and then give it a squish, fold the cannon upwards, and there you have KSI Sentry equipped with his bayonet weapon. And this was definitely one of the weapons that I saw the KSI drones use in Age of Extinction. Here is a quick size comparison as well as difference comparison. As you can see, KSI Sentry is more or less the exact same mold of Decepticon Stinger. The only real new additional changes are the entirely brand new paint scheme that they've given this figure. As you can see, he is entirely blue where this figure was red, and he's got a completely different head sculpt. I actually do prefer the head sculpt on the KSI drone as opposed to Stinger. As you can see, the weapons are more or less the same, and this bayonet weapon is actually compatible with the deluxe class Stinger if you wish to use it. Turning the figures around, as you can see, where Stinger has the rack and the shurikens to go on it, KSI Sentry just has a plain rack with no weapons. So I would have wished that Hasbro would have just removed it. However, it's on a mushroom peg, so if it annoys you that much, you can just remove it yourself. So overall, despite the subtle changes, this does look like a drastically different figure when compared to the Decepticon Stinger. Turning very briefly to the transformation, I will just skim over it as it is essentially the same as Stinger's. You just want to remove this blade section here and then take these sections here and just lift them upwards on either side. Take the head section and lift that upwards, fold these feet down just like so, turn the figure around and come to this piece here, and as you can see there is a small indentation here that this will just lock into just like so. Take this whole section here and detach it from the waist, and then rotate this entire section all the way around just like so. Collapse it down, clip that section down here and flip the legs forwards, as well as flipping back pieces back, and inside here you will see these grooves that will plug into these holes on the inside of his legs. Pull these sections first down, do the exact same for the other leg and just tab them in together just like this. What you're then going to want to do is take this arm here, straighten it out, just tab this section in here. At this point you can probably take this arm, pull it down, rotate the head section around, and then flip this cannon piece, line that section upwards, and then just take these pieces and close them in just like so. Take the head and collapse that down, and there you have KSI Sentry in his Pagani vehicle mode. Turning very quickly to the vehicle mode, this is identical to Stinger's. It's a really nice representation of a Pagani Hyra, as was seen in the 4th Transformers movie. Although I'm not entirely sure whether this vehicle actually appeared in this colour scheme in the movie, I do know that blue Paganis do exist, and this is a really nice looking vehicle mode. I really do like the transparent clear plastic that they've used for the windows, as well as this really nice looking metallic blue that is consistent between the plastic as well as the paint. You can see the headlights have been picked out in a silver paint application, which looks really good. You've got a black stripe going across each side of the vehicle mode. There are no painted taillights, unfortunately. However, considering how much paint has gone into this figure, I don't necessarily expect them to. It would have been nice if they could have molded these sections in black so that the blue doesn't look too obtrusive when compared to the black rims. But overall, it's a really nice looking vehicle mode. In terms of weapon storage in this mode, there is a slot there that was present on the Stinger figure, and there is a tab on this bayonet weapon. You simply just plug that in just like so, and that is weapon storage for KSI Sentry. With this rack section still integrated into the figure, I cannot get the figure to roll freely at all. It was the exact same problem I had with Stinger. So perhaps it's just the way I'm transforming the figure, or maybe this section just does not allow it to transform. But overall, it's a really nice looking vehicle mode. So overall, what do I think of this figure? Personally, I don't think that it is a must-have, and it's definitely one of my least favourite from the Studio series. Despite it being a nicely painted figure and having a really nice looking head sculpt, we're not really getting much difference here. This alt mode, as far as I'm aware of, is completely inaccurate. There were no blue Paganis in the movie, and I doubt that Michael Bay would have Stinger, being one of the main Decepticons from that movie, have a counterpart that was just in the back gang. If you're a massive fan of the Decepticons and you want to army build some Vehicle for the movies, then I guess that this is a really good figure to start off with, especially as you can probably repaint it into several other figures. However, essentially you're just getting a deluxe class Stinger with a new head and a new weapon and a brand new paint scheme. So personally for me, there's not much new here. I do recommend it if perhaps you find it on a clearance or a discounted price. It is still a nice looking figure, but it's definitely not one to go pick up at retail price, and I definitely wouldn't pay any more than the standard retail price for this figure. Hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.